This is Robert Goodman for Positive Strokes. I'm glad you have a few moments to check out my new video. We're going to talk about probation and parole. Probation and parole. You know, you're doing your time in the state penitentiary, or you get released on probation. You have things that you must do in order to keep your freedom. But let's get back to parole. Actually, parole I want to talk about first. Parole. When you come down to your last 90 days of your sentence, your mind should be geared to doing what you need to do so you can get off parole. I remember one time I was on parole and I went into the office and I tested dirty, and she said to me, Robert, she says, we never had no problem. It's the only thing that we have a problem with you about. I said, well, I don't hurt nobody. I like to get high, and I'm going to continue getting high. She said, well, I'm going to continue locking me up. I said, well, then you do you and I do me, and we'll see who wins. That was the mentality I had at that time. Because I felt in my mind that I wasn't hurting nobody getting high, but actually I was hurting loved ones and myself. But I felt that I was grown. This person's younger than me. She's going to tell me what to do. She ain't lived long as me. She hasn't experienced anything that I've experienced. That's not the attitude to have. If you went to trial and you was found guilty and they sentenced you, that's low. You're going to do your time. After you do your time, then they give you amount of time on parole. Just because you're free doesn't mean you're free. Just because you're free doesn't mean that you're free. So, let me step it up to years ahead. I had got out on parole. I met with my parole officer within the 72 hours upon my release. I wasn't required to go to one of their parole homes. So what I did was I went to a program, treatment center, work treatment center. That's right, work treatment center. They had a lot of rules. I followed each and every one of them. I visit my parole officer on time. I let her know exactly what was going on with me. I was very transparent with my parole officer. Why? Because I'm just another number to her. She doesn't know me. She has no idea what type of person I am. Did I change? Am I going to give her problems? Or what have you? All she has is my history on paper. But she really doesn't know Robert. So it's my job for me to allow her to get to know me. And that's what I did. When I graduated, I extended an invitation to her. She came. She said, guys don't do that. This is one of the first times she's ever been to something positive for anybody on her caseload. She let me get off early. Shook my hand, gave me a hug, and said, "You take care of yourself. I know you're going to make it." Let me go back a little further. You know, when I first got on there, she was giving me the riot act, and she was on me 40 going north, and man, I couldn't even hardly breathe. But I did not complain. I followed each rule and regulation that she had. I handled my business because I wanted to get off. I knew that I was still connected to the prison. That if I mess up, she's going to send me back to prison. And in the state of Arizona, normally when you get sent back, you finish off your time. In California, it's different. You just do a violation. So I didn't want to go back. But I also understood that I put myself in that situation. I caused myself to get locked up. Me. I broke the law. I did my thing. I got away with it for a long time. Then they caught up with me and I got locked up. I accepted the situation. I accepted that I must follow these rules and regulations whether I like them or not, so I can get off. You know, some people have to go to the parole houses where they get a bunk and they got to be there and they got to do community service and they're not really making no money and they're just, and it's frustrating and it seems like you're not getting nowhere, that you're out, you want to start being productive, you want to start having things, you've been locked down and you've been held back, and now you got to get up and go. Understand. But you got to take that get up and go and flip it into other areas. The interesting thing about staying at a parole house is that they have a certain amount of requirements that you have to do for a period of time. Once you've done those requirements, then you get released off the chains of having more freedom and being able to do more for yourself. I understand also that sometimes it moves faster, sometimes it moves slow. But I got to keep my mind right, my direction right, all the time. Everybody that's a parole officer or probation officer is not the perfect one for that job. There are some that are bad and there's some that are good. That's with anything. When I was in management, you had good employees, you had mediocre employees, and you had bad employees. And that's just the way it is. That's life. The interesting thing is that if you treat your parole officer with respect, making it easy for them to know information about you so they can put it on paper and it can go in your file, you're making their job easier. Then that means that you're not a problem. But if they have hardly no information, You're making their job hard. I didn't want to make her job hard. I wanted to make it as easy as possible. I would call my parole officer once a week. Once a week. Why? Because I wanted to know everything was going on with me, if I had any obstacles or anything. Is there any resources out there that may help me along the way? I made her actively involved in my recovery from prison. So, if you're on parole, don't get all upset and mad. Don't get your lip poked out. You got one step for freedom. You're released, so now you can go eat and sleep on your own. You're not being told. That's all. Once I got off, oh man, I just kept doing the same thing. I was working, saving my money by the bare minimums, and always treat myself to a good meal on Sunday. Let's talk about probation. Some people get probation after they do a little time, or some get released on probation. Probation is a little bit different. You have a probation officer that checks on you, that writes a report to the courts. If you violate probation, then the violation goes in, they pick you up, and then you got to go in front of the judge. And it's the judge's decision whether you go finish your sentence, if you're in the state of Arizona, or you will continue on probation. When I was on probation, I went through 5 probation officers in 30 months. 5. I let them know what I was doing. I text. I had my video chat with her once every 3 months. But I text her on a regular basis to let her know that what's going on with me. You know, the funny thing is, I remember she called me up and she said she wanted to see me because she was going on vacation. So me and my wife, we walk out and car pulls up and I'm still looking for her. And she was in her civilian clothes. I would not have recognized that she was my probation officer. She said, I just wanted to see you so I can put it down on the report. I'm going on vacation and you take care of yourself. You have good. I said, well, you have a safe trip. I said, I would have never recognized you in civilian clothes. I say that to say that she knew that I wasn't no problem or a threat, that I was doing what I was supposed to be doing. So she could come there in plain clothes to talk to me because of my behavior and my actions. She never gave me a bit of trouble. She never overtaxed me or nothing. She let me know that I was handling my business and she was happy with it. And she says, I have no problem with you, Robin. Everything's good. Some of us that are facing jail time, we get nervous and we don't want to tell the probation or parole what's going on with us. How could somebody bat for you or help you if they don't know all the information? How can your probation officer, your parole officer keep you out there when you ain't did the steps that needs to be done? Or if you couldn't get them all done, you have an explanation of why you couldn't get them done and you're working on getting it done. Do you wait until they check with you if things ain't going the way they want things to go for you? If they tell you to go down a certain road and it's not working, I get on the phone and say, it's not working what you're telling me, but if I do this, there's a good chance that I might get this done. Okay. I'd say this is that do what you got to do. Don't complain about it. I didn't complain about it. I kept saying to myself, I'm happy I ain't got to be behind those bars. I'm happy that I don't have to be in riot situations because I've been in riot situations. And I'm talking about bloody riot situations. And it ain't nice. It ain't nothing nice. You ever been down on a lockdown on a riot situation and live like that? And then when you come off it, you don't know if it's going to jump up again. You know somebody's going to come up and stick you. You don't even know if you're going to wake up the next day. Yeah. That's the life of prison. Just saying, you better stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Because in prison, if you have to get ready, you might not make it. So, me knowing all that information, I did whatever it took to get our paper. I did whatever it took to get our paper. I was proud that I got out of there alive. I was proud that I didn't get hurt in there. I was happy that I was going to be able to move on in my life and make a better life for myself. But I knew I had to get off paper first before I can start Robert's life. Remember, you have to get off paper so you can start your life. This is Robert Goodman for Positive Strokes. I'm hoping that you got something from that. And if you're on probation or parole, hey, it's no biggie. Just do what you got to do. Act like you was in prison. You don't want to go to hole for 3 months. So you do accordingly. You know how to live in a hole. You know how the hole is. Sometimes we have to do the things that we don't want to do so we're able to do the things that we would like to do.